Welcome back to Beyond the Buckets. I am happy to have former Louisville guard, former USC guard, Mariya Moore. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'd love to start off with something that people might not know about you. I mean, they know about the All American and All ACC and all of this, but tell the world something that people rarely know about you.
um, I would say maybe families first. I'm very family oriented. No matter how old I get, I need to be close to like my parents. I need to be able to see my mom, my dad. Like I'm just super like a parent, like a mommy daddy girl. Like I have to be like cuddled no matter how old I get. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
For sure, that's a good thing to have. And you just told me on the when we just got on that you lay, and then when COVID hit, you immediately got back home. So tell me what that's kind of been like for you, just being back in the Bay Area and around the family.
It's definitely great. I mean, you have your ups and downs. I haven't lived at home since like high school. So being an adult and living at home is definitely different, especially the way your parents parent you is different, but
Right.
it's great. I get to see my family every day and we're just trying to get through this pandemic together.
For sure. You getting them home cooked meals, I hope.
Yeah, I know I am. I
Yeah.
definitely am. Anything I ask for my mom, she's like, okay, like let's get it done. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I've started to do during the pandemic is I really enjoy cooking, and maybe to get a few minutes away from the kids, but I just really enjoy putting together a nice, and sharing that as a family when we sit down at night as a group. So it's been really cool just to do that, and I'm sure you're happy to do the same at home.
Exactly. Yes.
So, why don't you give me a 3 minute backstory on you? You know, where you grew up, how you got to, Louisville and USC. I guess we'll get to that in a little bit, but yeah, tell me a little bit.
Okay. For starters, I claim both coasts. I was born in Raleigh, North Carolina,
Oh,
but I
okay.
grew up on the coast. Yes. Even though I wasn't in Raleigh that long, I still claim both coasts. I grew up in Sacramento for a little bit before moving to the Bay. Um, Played soccer first and then moved into basketball. I was a two-sport athlete for a long time, but when you get to high school, you have to pick because of the same seasons.
Right.
I met some of my best friends playing basketball. I mean, yeah, yeah, all my best friends basically playing basketball. And yeah, the Bay Area basketball is and was super competitive. And it was just a great environment to be in. Um, I went to Salesian High School. I had commuted for a little bit, but then I moved down to the Bay. Um, and it was great. I loved it. I My coach, Coach Bazzola, set me up for college basketball in the best way. We didn't get to win a state championship, which sucks, but we went 3 years in a row.
Right.
Um, I was blessed enough to be a McDonald's All American. I was on the USA team. And just all of those experiences at high school are like, it just comes at you so fast. But my parents kept me grounded and kept me focused, and it was just awesome. And then I decided to go to Louisville. Um, I wanted to move away from home just because, I mean, it's college. You want to experience it. Like you want to see how it is away from home. My first year was really hard because obviously I wanted to be around my parents, but they visited me all the time. I was there for 3 years, loved it, but decided that I wanted to try somewhere else, see how it was. I wanted to play my last year with my sister. She was at USC at the time. Went to USC, decided to go there because I love the coaching staff, Mark Track. They were all amazing people and coaches, and it was just a great experience. And I got to play with my sister. And then, yeah, it's just college went by so fast. I was in there 1 year longer than most people, but it went by super duper fast.
For sure. Tell me a little bit about the high school days. You were an All American, like you mentioned. People don't realize the work that goes into becoming that. Somebody that is one of the extreme one percenters. I'd say even a 0.2 percenter to be able to accomplish that, where there's only 24. other 23 other kids that make those teams. So what was your work ethic like to get to that point?
Yeah, I can't even explain the feeling to you to be picked. It was insane. But my work ethic was in the gym, you have to live, breathe basketball. Like it it was so, it wasn't even really like a job to me. It was just so fun. Like I wanted to be there. Like I wanted to be the best that I could be. And mostly it was, I think my mindset at the time was we hadn't won state yet. And
Mhm.
I wanted to be whatever I could be for my team so that we could win state. So I was always grinding, always doing what I could so that if anything was lacking, I could bring that to the table. So with that, I was able to get good enough stats or have a good enough season, AAU and high school wise, that I was blessed enough to be chosen to be a McDonald's All-American. But yeah, you have to really, it can't be about the accolades. It has to be about the work. Like you really have to be in the gym, have to be grinding like 24/7, just for the results to even show.
Who was a big part of your development growing up?
Oh my gosh, honestly, so many people. Number one, I'd have to say my parents, my mom and dad. Like, even though they may not have had like coaching backgrounds of basketball when I was growing up,
Yeah.
they were always outside with me shooting. My dad, oh my gosh, always outside pushing me, rain, snow, anything. Like, no, let's go. Like, we need to shoot free throws. Like, this is like end of game stuff. Like, we have to.
Yeah.
So I'd say number one is my mom and dad. And then I just had so many devoted coaches growing up. I wanted to start out Vince Romeo. He was my very first basketball coach. And that he really set the tone for how I wanted to, like, what I wanted to be. Like, I wanted to be a basketball player. And there's just so many. There's Coach Chuck, Coach Pico, Coach George, who coaches Team Tarasi, and Coach Kelly, coaches Cal Stars.
Yeah. Don't
He
get that. He'll
really, like,
he'll get
they
on you
all,
about that. Don't mess that
I
name up.
know. Don't, please don't tell him that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. It was just so many people. I was just so blessed to have all these people in my corner to push me to where I am.
Talk about the recruitment process, because most kids are just trying to find an opportunity anywhere they can. He has either the ability, the size, the skill to make it. You had all three. You had the ability, size, and skill. But so many people don't. They're just reaching to try to get to any school. Well, you had a different perspective because every school was on you. Tell me about that recruitment process, why you ended up going with Coach Walls at Louisville, and how it worked out.
Yeah. The recruitment process was honestly as crazy as people say. It was, from all the letters coming in and just even the tournaments where you see all the coaches lined up. Like, that's a lot. Like, I'm a teenager and it's really do or die kind of. But once you start playing, all your nerves kind of just settle. But I ultimately chose Louisville. It was, I think, Louisville, and then my second choice was like UCLA. I
Mhm.
ultimately chose Louisville because, yes, the coaching staff, like Coach Waltz, he speaks for himself. Like everything he's done, like he's a great coach. It was not only that, but my teammates I was going in with, I went in with with Erica Carter. She's from LA, so it's just people I knew. I felt comfortable. And the whole coaching staff in general at Louisville was just so like welcoming. It was like a family like, and I was just excited. Like I was like, and it's a top school. They just went to the Final Four. Like it was, everything was like matching. Like everything was going well at the same time. So I was like, I just have this feeling like I should be here.
For sure. Um, so you get to Louisville, you had a really good career, a good 3 years. I mean, you were on the all freshman team, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. I had to make sure I got it right. You got two second team ACCs, and then you got a first team ACC. So in your 3 years, you're all ACC every single year. I think you ended up going down as the 13th all-time scorer in points in 3 years, which is absurd. You're top 10 in assists, and 5 and 3-pointers made. Like you were gonna, if you stayed, you were going to, crush all of those records. I do want to ask that later on, but tell me what your experience was like, because people that don't realize what big time ACC college basketball is, they love the women's game just as much as they love the men's game. And that's what I like about, just cultures like that and environments in small cities and towns. So tell me what your experience was like there.
My experience was actually great. Obviously, my freshman year, I had a little bit of homesickness, but who doesn't deal with that? Even if I would have went to Berkeley, I would have been homesick. But I was really just, it was a great experience. It was mostly like, no, it's okay. It was mostly like, um, I just don't even explain it. It like the culture, like you said, there was just so many things set up for you to succeed.
Mhm.
Um, and again, like when you have people around you that push you, it's a great feeling. Like just coming in as a freshman, like you're already scared. It's something new, and it's a big campus. And like we had Sarah Hammond, Bria Smith, all these top players there just welcoming you, and helping you succeed because they've been through it. So it's like you need to follow in their footsteps so that you can not only make it through but do well there.
Sure. And so you decided to end up leaving and transferring. Like you said, you missed home and you had an opportunity to go play with your sister. I believe when I was talking to her, she said you guys went on the route, so you already were comfortable with LA, and she ended up obviously choosing there. And so you had 3 really good years at Louisville. What went into your decision making on transferring out 1 year and then playing your final year?
Um, it was really a lot, but it came down to just wanting to experience something new. And the fact that I would have been able to play with my sister was just even better. We never really got a chance to play together in high school. We were supposed to, but she had tore her ACL.
Right.
So it was just everything coming together at once. And obviously there's a lot of risks, and um, you have to like weigh pros and cons with leaving a situation like that. But I felt like my reasons were enough. Like they were great. Like they were enough for me to leave where I was at and try something new.
For sure. A little bit about USA basketball and how that gave you the confidence. So many times when you are put in a situation where you are going to like face high level competition, you can, get nervous about it, you can get anxious about it, or you can thrive in it. What were your feelings when you got chosen to play US? And then what happened? And when was the moment that you felt like, okay, I got this?
Well, let me start off by saying that process is like literally so crazy. Like it's like so hard. Like even if you make the team, it's like your heart, like I just couldn't even handle it.
Yeah.
But I never once was like, oh yeah, I got this. Like you have to sit there and listen for them. They're just like, thank you all for being here. And then they read the 12-member team. And I think I was like, did I just hear my name? And someone next to me was like, yeah, you did. But I was like it's something like that. But when I heard my name, at that point I was just like, I don't know what to do. And then I ran outside and told my mom, and then we like talked it through. But yeah, it's a crazy experience.
Were you guys in Colorado when that happened? And how often
Mhm.
were you going there and back to the Bay?
So the first time you try out and then you go back home and then you go back for training. And then with that tournament, it was training straight into the training was straight into the tournament because we hosted the tournament. So I didn't have to go back a lot of time. But then the second time, you had to go back and forth for training, and then you had to come back to fly out because we went to Spain and Russia. So it was a couple back and forth, but not too much. Basically, you stayed there and you stayed on the campus.
Gotcha. And so USC, you were there for 2 years. You had to sit out 1 year because of the transfer. So what did you do during that time, like sitting out and watching? Because that was the first time you probably didn't play like
Right.
in actual games. How was it your senior year when you got to finally play with your sister?
Exactly. Well, unfortunately, my credits they didn't transfer over to USC, like enough of them, because I was a senior, like I was supposed to be starting my senior year, but a lot of my credits didn't transfer over. So in a weird way, the year me sitting out was actually a great thing because I needed to make up those credits so that I could be able to graduate.
Mhm.
Um, So obviously the year sitting out, like it sucked because I'm so competitive. And so I still had to go to games and practices and be there for my teammates and for my team, but I couldn't actually play in the competition. So that was really hard for me. Um, but it went by so fast. I didn't think it would, but the year went by so fast, and I didn't even mind it at all. I still wanted to be out there for my teammates, but like there's just some things like you can't control.
And what was it like when you finally touched down and played in games with your sister?
It felt like we had just, because we always worked out together growing up, so it felt like just another day in the backyard.
Yeah.
Because like we know how, like we know each other's playing styles, so it was really just I think the hardest part was adapting to the fact that even though I'm the older sister, this was technically her team, so I
Yeah.
can't just come up in here and tell her how things are going to change or how we need to adjust whatever. Like I just need to understand that like she has a flow and she knows how everything like is operating here, and I just need to just mosey on in, like not try to outdo like whatever she has going on.
Right. When you guys used to play ones at the house, who was getting the
Mhm.
better of those matchups?
Yeah, obviously me, but I when people always ask that, it's hard to answer the question because we were literally so young. So it's like I can't sit here and say she never won any of the games. We were playing against my dad too, so it's like we always lost to him as well. So um it was just most of the time it was us two against him. So that's why we were already on the same team playing. But I mean, Mignon's so competitive, and I like she's the type of player that you hate playing. So it's
Right.
like I've had to grow up playing against a player that I literally hate playing because like her defense is insane and she's just like always the ball first. It was just yeah. I'm sure she won some games. I just don't know. I don't have the count.
This is a selfish question. Um, as my kids get older, how much them if they say they want to play my kids to play basketball just because I love it and I coach it, um, or whatever. But like, how hard were some of those days with him training you guys and what that dynamic is? Because I see it so many different ways. Like my buddy at Clovis West, he and his daughter had a great relationship and she played for him and all of that. But then I've seen it so many other times where it goes the other way. And, you can kind of push them away from the game. And I definitely don't want to do that.
Right. I completely get that. My dad and I have definitely bumped heads many times. There were times where we would scream running in the house to my mom, like help us, like tell him we're done for the day. Like and she's just like, come on, Arrow, like please, like let them eat dinner, let them watch some TV, they're kids. And he's just like, do you want to be great? Like, do you? But I think as we got older, it was more so like, Dad, I do not want to like argue with you. I know about you coaching us. We can do some trainings. I don't know about coaching us, but it was just finding that balance. Like I think having that conversation, he knew like where our line was. Did he still cross it? Sometimes yes, because he's so competitive, but um we were able to find an understanding, and I just know that he loves the game so much and he just wants us to be like the best that we can be. So it was just like all of the butting heads just all made sense because it was like we all want this one thing so bad that it's just like we just found an understanding.
So I love that perspective as far as like it's gonna be a fine line when my kids decide or not decide to play sports, and how hard I know how hard it is. It's like so difficult to get there. And if the kid says they really want to do it, they're not going to be able to do it on their own. You're going to have to push them into that direction. So it'll be interesting. Tell me some about some of the struggles that you had just growing up, being in the limelight of this basketball world, and just becoming the young woman that you are. What are some of the struggles that you had?
um I struggled a lot with wanting to like be like a normal kid, like going to like sleepovers, parties, or like just hanging out on the weekends. Or after school, like going to your friend's house and just like chilling or whatever. Like I struggled a lot with that because basketball takes up or sports take up so much of your time. Like even though you may not play games, like you have practice, you have to be in the gym. Like it's something you have to work at every day. So I struggled a lot with making sacrifices in the now for like reaping the benefits in the future. So my mom always talked to me about, yeah, like her favorite saying was, there's always going to be another party. Like there's always going to be this, like you're not missing out. Like you're whatever you want to do right now, it's going to be there when you have the time or in the future after you've done your work now. So I would say I struggled a lot with that specifically, just making those sacrifices that were necessary at the time.
For sure. Would you change anything about, how difficult it was and missing out on a bunch of different things?
I don't think I would. That's why she was so right, because I really don't feel like I missed out on anything. I had the fun that I wanted to have, and like I've missed out on a lot, but it doesn't even seem like I really have, because there was other work that had to be done.
Right. I mean, you've got to travel all over the country, all over the world, just playing basketball. So, what were some of those experiences? My personal feeling is most people aren't gonna miss the game. Like you will miss the game, but you're more gonna miss the relationships that you had, the things that you were doing with those people that you spent so much time with. What were some of those
Exactly.
experiences for you?
That you hit it right on the head. That's exactly what it is. Like I obviously miss the game sometimes because I'm just watching it. I'm competitive. Like wow, I want to be out there playing. Or, but what I miss the most is just being in those moments and being with those people that you like are in the gym with all the time. And now it's the final battle. Like, um, or just traveling. Like even though in the moment it was like wow, this is like a lot. Like being in Russia competing for the world championship, like that's like a big deal. And it didn't hit me until after we left that wow, like look at what we just accomplished. But just being there with my teammates, like we were kind of on lockdown for like 2 weeks because it's like we're in a foreign country, you can't just be going anywhere. Like you have curfew, you have this and you have that. And as teenagers, it's like wow, like curfew, like we're 18,
Yeah.
but like thinking back on it, like we're in Russia. Like how many people get to travel to Russia, really? And we just won the world championship. Like if I could do that over again, like I literally would. And my favorite experience growing up was probably the McDonald's All American game.
Yeah.
Like just that whole week, it was so well. They were so well prepared. Like they went all above and beyond for us.
When you have good leadership like the McDonald's All American committee, that's what happens. But moving subject just a little bit, moving on to the next thing in your life. You mentioned to me on the pre-call that that you were going to start applying to law schools and things like that. So tell me about what your future holds.
I think my future is very bright. I think whether I'm playing basketball or not, I just have this competitive spirit about me. So no matter what I decide to do, like I want to be the best at it and do like really well. Um, with everything going on in the world. I've always wanted to be like a lawyer or go into that field. It was just with basketball going on, and I was already in school. It was just a lot to like think about and focus on at the time because I really didn't know where I was going to be headed down, like what I was going to do.
Right.
But now that I decided to stop playing basketball and figure out what I wanted to do next, I was like, this is the perfect time to pursue what I wanted to pursue. And I'm actually really excited. Am I excited to go back to school? Not really, but
Yeah.
I feel like if anyone's interested in something, they'll put the effort towards it. And that's what I'm ready to do.
I have no doubt that you're going to be a successful attorney at some point when you finish law school, because, like you said, your mentality has been embedded in you this whole time. So that's going to be really cool. I want to talk to you really quickly about the social injustices that have kind of been brought to light. These things have been happening, and I try to tell people in my circles that this isn't new. It's now that everybody has one of these in their hand. It's a video camera that will allow things to be very, um, you know, instant, like you could put it out there instantly because of the social media. But what are your thoughts on just the stories that have been going, what America is had to witness during this pandemic? If you see any light at the end.
I definitely want to, like, I agree with everything you said. It's nothing new. It's been going on since just forever. It's just more broadcasted now because of social media. It's more accessible to people. Um, and honestly, personally, for me, it's pretty scary. You see in history books like all these people like Martin Luther King and all these people fighting for things, and it's like, oh wow, well that's history, but like I feel like we're living through history, and I'm like, it's just such a crazy feeling that we're actually living through a time like this. But I definitely see light at the end. Like um there's just so many people fighting for such a positive reason, like they're fighting for like essentially freedom, and at some point I feel like it's gonna be good. It's just scary at the moment, but I think the main thing is information. I think ignorance is tough, and a lot of people are ignorant, but it's just once you get the right information, then um, things will make more sense.
For sure. I'm definitely optimistic about everything. Sometimes to grow, you have to go through the pain. So you spoke to it in your own journey, just missing out on different things and the sacrifices that you had to make. And it was painful in the moment where you were working out, but your mom tried to drop the knowledge that you need because you were ignorant at that time, thinking that you could do whatever and still make it as far as you did. Well, because you sacrificed, because you went through that pain, you were able to overcome later on, and now you look back on it, man, I needed all of that. This made me the person I am. This gave me my DNA to be exceptional in everything that you do. And I think that's where we're at in America. We needed to see the ugliness. We needed to go through that in order for us to grow. And I think it's just brought so many conversations that haven't been, had. I mean, I've had more conversations over the last 6 or 8 months now than I've had my entire life about race and things like that, with all walks, black, white, Hispanic. It doesn't even matter. Like, we're just having these conversations more, and I think it's very important. And there's a generation that is going to really take it to the next level. You talked about you going into law, criminal justice, because this is a passion of yours to see this change. And we just appreciate people like you.
Thank you.
Um, if you had to pick the top 5 players you've ever played against, who would they be? You got 5 players. Who are you've personally ever been on the same court with?
Number one, I'm gonna have to go with Kelsey Plum.
She's a
That's
bucket.
just
She's a bucket.
it was my first time in the state championship, and I honestly cannot blame anyone, because it's like, how do you prepare for something like that? Like, you can watch film, you can do this, you can do that, but there's just no way you can really prepare for a player like that. Um, and yeah, she's number one for sure, because I just didn't even know what I walked into. Um, who else? I just played against so many great people. Well, Asia Wilson, even though she was on my team, we also played against South Carolina one time. Asia Wilson, again, another player that's just like, how do you guard this? And how do you score
MVP.
against this? Like,
MVP.
yeah, like like, how do you guard or score against this? That's number two. Number three, um,
And now they're
who
on the
else have
same
I
team,
like?
ironically.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'd also another player is Christine Anigwe. She's one of my best friends.
Hmm.
Um, we played on the same USA team, but I played against her like when she was at Cal, like dominant, just so dominant. I just don't even know how else to explain her. Um, so many players. Kristen Simon, she was on my team at USC.
Hmm.
Um, we were on the same team, so I was like, I never really played against her in AAU, but there was this one day we were working out together with our trainer, and um, I had never played one-on-one against her. So I'm like, okay, I'm a guard. She's a post. It shouldn't be that hard. I can just shoot or drive. Like, it shouldn't be that hard. Pull up. it's so crazy. Like she like beat me so bad, but it was more so just like she was quick on her feet. Like she guarded me at the 3, like she was guarding me all over the court. Again, another time that I was not prepared. But yeah, that number 4. And then number 5, Jordan Canada. I mean, what else can we say about Jordan Canada? Like dominant as well.
Right, and she's a smaller guard too, which probably makes it hard for a taller player like you to get up underneath her.
Yes. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
if
I mean,
we
I've played so many down people, but yeah.
That's good. That's a good list. That's a really good list. That's one of the best lists I've heard. If somebody were to come on this show next, somebody very impactful, who would it be? Now, when you say the name, that means you got to make the connection as well. Who should be up and coming guest?
So is it like sports wise or just in general?
Anybody. This is beyond
sports,
the buckets. Right? And well, no, it's beyond the buckets. So anybody that can bring value to somebody else, like your story has brought in value to me. Like I'm inspired. I want to go out there and do something amazing because of the energy that, so anybody that, we've had a long distance hiker on here. So anybody that in the sports world, basketball or other, it don't matter. But you got to make the connection.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm trying to think because I know so many like amazing people. I mean, I could definitely reach out to Kristen Simon or Jordan Canada. Like, Jordan just won the championship, so she probably have a lot to talk about.
For sure.
That crazy journey that she's on.
Yeah,
and I'm sure she's dealt with a lot.
They beat my cousin in the championship. My cousin's Danielle Robinson. They beat him 3-0.
Really?
I mean, yeah, that was
just beast.
Yeah, it's different out there in the Midwest and the South because I've been out to Oklahoma. They treated her like a star, so I'm sure they treated you the same way, like in Louisville. Like we go to the Applebee's after, and she's signing 1 million autographs for whoever. And
that's crazy.
Pictures.
You went to Applebee's too.
Yeah,
popular out there.
There ain't nothing else in Oklahoma. So, last thing, where can everybody follow you? Your sister's getting ready to launch a new clothing line and stuff like that. But where can everybody follow you and your journey?
I have Twitter and Instagram. I'm not really on them too much, especially right now because I'm not really going anywhere. But they can definitely follow me on Twitter or Instagram.
And what's the handle?
My Twitter is Raya Be Like with 3 E's.
Okay.
And my Instagram,
I like that. Go ahead.
And then my Instagram is Where They At Rye.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining the show. This is really fun. I know a lot of people are going to get some class act. Mariya Moore, thank you.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be on here.
Thank you for listening to the Beyond the Buckets podcast. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and share the show with your friends. And until next time, take care.